Hello, my name is Candace Printz. I'm with Green Hope Project. I'm the president. We do have our board members here with us as well. We have Zulema Macias, who is our vice president, and we have Darlene Aguirre, who is our secretary. So what I wanted to go over at this, initial meeting is the title of the workshop is called A Call to Action. And so what we're finding is that, I'm sure it's not just El Paso, it's everywhere throughout the world that there's issues with pollution. There's issues everywhere with pollution. There's issues with plastic waste, single-use plastics, tire dumping. And so, it doesn't help that we're in a windy city as well, and a lot gets carried away and ends up in the Chihuahuan Desert. So, so the point of this is just to get community members together who feel that there is a need for change, and rather than talking about it, we can actually develop a plan that we can put into action. And so we're seeking people who, maybe you can't do the footwork, but maybe you can give us advice, or maybe you have a contact for us to follow. So what I want to do is I want to screen share just a bit so I can show you where all this stemmed from. And so if you're not familiar with Green Hope Project, we are a nonprofit that started a few years back. It started with high school kids wanting to clean up the desert. And, they had the background within art. And so we said, we're going to adopt a highway. We're going to pick up trash and we're going to turn it into artwork. And that's how it began. And so the high school is El Dorado High School. And if you're not familiar with that is, it's right off of Montana. And so it's kind of on the border of like where the county is. And so it's kind of heading towards Waco Tanks. And so it just made sense for us to adopt the highway that was near the school. And so that's that Montana stretch. And so this is what we're finding out there. It just disgusts me every time I see these pictures. And here we are, hunky dory going out there thinking we're just going to pick up some cigarette butts and get some plastic waste or whatever. And you turn the corner and this is off the highway. So clearly whoever's doing it, contractors or, whatever, they know just go a little bit in and you won't be seen. And so we found multiple sites like this. We found tires dumped in bulk. And so some of the stuff we're finding is clearly not just an individual household. Some of this, it just, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong in assuming, but the bulk amount of tires that we're seeing, it leads me to believe that perhaps it's a company, or I don't know if somebody, I don't know if they're keeping the disposal fee. I don't know what's going on. And so it just seems like it doesn't matter how many times we go out there and clean it, it comes back again. And so these are spots that people, they feel like nobody's watching and they can get away with it. And so I don't know if, I'm sure there's economic issues. Some people aren't within the city. They can't pay to do the dumping. I think we're talking about a whole bunch of reasons that this could be happening, including apathy and not respecting the land. And so we've had up to 80 volunteers come and help us clean up, and it's back again the next week. So I think what I'm realizing is we cannot continue to be the custodians of the city when the problem is so deep. And so that leads me to believe that we need to really tackle this from a different perspective. And so we're not going to pretend to have all the answers or know all the contacts or have all the solutions, but that's why we're reaching out to you in hopes that perhaps you can, plant a seed within us or give a suggestion or, and so, a lot of these are the high school kids that have helped and, you can see them, but look at this younger generation of what they're going to be left with, and who knows how much stuff is under the sand. It just gets buried. And you have a lot of this netting and stuff that animals are getting caught in, and some of these animals, if we eat this, we're finding hypodermic needles out there. It's just, disgusting. And I know it's not just out on Montana. It's everywhere. I see the new development off the highway, and I think, oh, how pretty. And then I see all these pretty plants, and then all the trash bags that are caught in them. And I'm just like, oh, it just makes me want to pull over and go clean them up. But I'm not about to get hit on the freeway. And what's happening is our bushes have become the catch, and so they're catching all this debris. What's really, really disturbing is that, these plastics become so brittle, they turn into microplastics. And so no matter how hard we try to clean them up, they just disintegrate. And so, that's a whole nother problem. I know in the write-up, we did specifically mention the tire problem. And I know you saw in some of the pictures, the tire waste. I kid you not, when we found, and there's multiple dump sites, by the way, when we found this site, I just stopped counting after I hit like 200, 250 tires. And then I just thought, that's enough. Like, it's too much. So this is where we're coming from. And this has been going on. The cleanups has been going on for several years now. And it's really disheartening to have high school age kids that see it, want to make a difference, and then they say, but I don't know how. Like, it's just, where do you begin, right? And how many people have come before us that have tried and failed, or kind of gotten a little bit away, and then whatever happened. And I would love to speak to those people so I can learn from them if they've already been there, done it. We aren't seeking naysayers. We're seeking people that can, think outside the box and offer, solutions. And, they may or may not work, but it's better than doing nothing. And so what we're hoping is to meet maybe once a month with whatever committee. I mean, you can contribute as much or as little as you choose. I know life happens. And so once a month, and then we can see if we can get some headway going, and then report back a year from now at the next summit about our progress, and determine, do we need to continue meeting, or do we have a pretty strong hold on, making headway with you fixing this illegal dumping problem. I know it's very massive. And we would, yes. What if we survey a committee at our cleanups to poll the passersby to identify? Yes. And so I'm gonna shut up in just a minute and turn it over to you guys so we can talk. But I'm thinking at the next meeting, whether it's in 4 weeks or whatever, I really want to identify who needs to be invited to this meeting. Like, who needs to be at the table? Does it need to be city reps? Does it need to be county? Does it need to be local judges who prosecute illegal dumping? Business owners, the tire companies, who are these stakeholders? And so I'm hoping you can help with that. And I'm hoping that at the next meeting, we can have some sort of a skeleton of what should be discussed so that we're productive and we don't kind of turn our wheels. And so really, I'm needing help. I need help. I'm pretty good about following through, as is the rest of the Green Hope Project board. But, we're no fools in knowing where we need some guidance. And so anyway, I thought maybe it would be beneficial to, if you're comfortable, to turn it over to you guys, and you can do a brief introduction of yourself and just say, what was the draw for you to even attend this session? Like, why are you here? Or any comments you have, really. And if you're not comfortable, you don't have to contribute. It's fine.
I'm happy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Bill. I'm so glad you're happy.
Yeah, I'm happy to offer what I know. I deal with this in Hudspeth County. We have Interstate 10 coming through here, and I pick up trash everywhere I go. It's a obsessive compulsive thing for me. And I was about to message that, as you probably know, Sheriff Wiles has an anti-dumping program. He should be at the table, or one of his representatives. They have officers assigned to anti-dumping. What they would do is go through that trash and find out who dumped it. there's addresses and stuff on a lot of that stuff, and they can investigate. There's heavy fines for that. It needs to be discouraged. And I don't think as a small group we could begin to address it, but the sheriff's department of the county has the resources to do that. But I'm not saying we can't help. We need to be picking up trash. Here in Sierra Blanca, I've organized a trash cleanup day for the whole town. We give prizes. We have a lunch for everyone that's involved, and Culberson County, Van Horn does this as well. And we give out prizes to whoever picks up the most trash. We get everyone involved. That means the school, the county, that means the county boys that are working road and bridge, school kids, everyone involved. And then we asked we've even asked the businesses for donations to give these prizes. And of course, we're actually helping to pick up around where a lot of tourists dump around the Exxon and everything here in Sierra Blanca. So that might be able to be replicated. El Paso, of course, is a much bigger place than my community of 650, but that doesn't mean we can't address it some ways. That's just thinking out loud with a few ideas that I have.
No, that's exactly what we want. Yes. Yeah. Keep them coming. Perfect. That's a really cool idea.
But Sheriff Walls has officers assigned to this, and that needs, what the pictures I saw, I'm not surprised. It's all over the desert, and that needs to be discouraged. So we need to definitely talk to Sheriff Walls. He's a friend of mine, and he's a pretty good guy. I think he's committed to that, but you need to, anything like that, especially those tires and that trash dump I just saw you post, that needs to be reported to the sheriff's department.
Yeah, it is. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, I have video of miles and miles of these back roads that people go.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just the whole roadway is littered with toilets, mattresses, and it's just phenomenal.
And see, what they're doing is they're trying to save money on dumping fees for all that stuff at the landfill. Mm-hmm. And the tires, what that is, I'm pretty sure, when you see that many tires, it's not a bunch of people doing it.
Yes.
These are people that sell tires and that are getting the disposal fee.
Yes.
And they don't want to pay to have them disposed. They just dump them all in one place and pocket the money.
Bill, I think you're exactly right, because some of the tire waste we're seeing is not normal. Hey, I'm an average person, I have it. It's like inner lining. No. It's like weird parts of tires that in bulk. So
those are tire companies, yes.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. And so just one thing that my family's in Corpus Christi, Texas, and so they had an issue with tires being illegally dumped on the beaches. And what they did is the city council passed something where they required the tire companies to brand their tires prior to selling them. It had like a little stamp or something. And if they found that they were dumped in bulk and it was that company, they would be severely fined. And it was just so amazing that after they passed that, it stopped it. All of a sudden, it wasn't happening.
Yes.
So I don't know.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I don't know if we've ever thought to do stuff like that, or I don't know if it's like out of our bounds because some of it is in the county. And I think for me to maneuver county and city stuff, I get kind of confused. I get the runaround. But you know what? And you're right. I think the sheriff does need to be at the table. And I think that that there's so many pockets of the illegal dump sites that they probably don't even know where they all are. It's just they don't have enough manpower.
You're right. They're asking us to report it. They tell us there's even a phone number I've seen on certain patrol vehicles of the sheriff's department. Awesome. But they want us to report it. I know that.
Okay. Yeah, I would love that number if you can find it later, maybe, and email us.
I'm going to send an email to Sheriff Wiles after the call, but maybe I'm sure you guys can invite him to the meeting, and either he or one of his representatives might be able to attend to your next meeting.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. And, some of what we found is it's just, it's heartbreaking because, okay, you adopt a highway, you're meant to stay on the highway. But what's happening is we're like 10, 20 feet away, we can see into the desert what's happening, but it's not the highway any longer. And then so then it becomes private property. Is this owned by the county? Is it owned by the city? And then it's like, do these private property owners even know this is happening to the land? Could we
devalues their land.
Yeah. And could we implement some sort of a thing where we're able to easily locate the property owners and say, hey, can we set up trap cameras on your land? And if we catch people with the license plates, would you be willing to prosecute? Or, can we do a community cleanup just so people this becomes the culture of like, this is unacceptable. And they see so many people doing it that it becomes a thing like, oh crap, they found my site. I can't go back there again. They're going to move to a new site, but my goal is to make it as hard for them as possible. Or implementing programs to help people who don't have the financial means to do some stuff. I'm sure there's some situations.
Right. Maybe the county, the city, like the Clint landfill, for example. A lot of people just don't want to take their trash out there. If they live out in an unincorporated area, they don't want to pay the fee for a load of trash. So Ellen Smythe should be brought into this discussion over there at the city. And of course, TxDOT as well. TxDOT, all the trash on that right of way, that is their responsibility. And I see this as a widespread problem. These guys, and it's not the employee's fault. It's endemic in TxDOT. They want to do all these things in their vehicles, but you never see any of their employees picking up much trash except for like pieces of tires on the freeway. You don't see them picking up trash, and that's part of their job.
Yes. Yeah, we're to Zulema. It looks like she's taking notes on everything you're saying about who should be at the table for this next meeting.
On the right-of-way, the TxDOT's responsible for the right-of-way extends, like, forget how much off the side of the highway, any highway, but there's a right-of-way, and that's where they can put utility stuff and buried cable, and all that is TxDOT's responsibility, and they need to be. It's not their fault that people are trashing, but they have a big campaign for many, many years. Don't mess with Texas, but they're not doing, my opinion. I'm not trying to be overcritical, but very much to clean up Texas. and people look at this. This is endemic, not just in El Paso County. At their parks, like the roadside park between here and Van Horn. I did a Facebook video of it, guys, and I'll stop here. But there's trash everywhere. And at the rest area. How come the TxDOT aren't even picking up trash at the rest areas? It's everywhere. Yes,
it is a problem. So Sheriff Wiles, TxDOT, Ellen Smythe, Senator Jose
Smythe. It's Ellen Smythe.
And then
Smythe, Smithe, I think. Smythe.
And then Jose Rodriguez. Who else do you think should be at the table to discuss this? I was thinking some of the business owners that are just fed up with it. But that would be a case by case. So it's Ellen. And then
Smythe.
Yes. And then no, go ahead.
I should be.
Yes, I think she would.
We're lucky to have her in El Paso.
Yes.
And how about Judge Richard Samaniego?
Okay.
Why not?
He's
bring awareness,
right?
And if the sheriff would start, and they could work with local media to tell people about the fines and stuff. Not everyone's going to be caring. They're doing it because they're trying to save money. But if they knew there was a fine and that people are actively prosecuting and investigating these illegal dump sites, it may not happen as much. Just like you were saying of your experience with the tires, where it was reduced or stopped. Right?
And what groups require community service? COVID things are different, but there's prisons and there's just, Judge Samaniego, maybe he knows who's what's out there for community service people.
I know
I
there's
can tell you that here in Sierra Blanca, we've used like people that have had misdemeanors. They assign them to community service. The judges, there's them. There is, let's see, what was I had 3 or 4 in my head now.
Churches?
I'll remember in a minute. Yeah.
Churches require confirmation students to do
Yeah, and then Boy
service hours.
Scouts. When I'm an Eagle Scout for many years back, and they require community service for merit badges and also to get your Eagle Scout badge. So there's people that Boy Scouts would probably volunteer, maybe, which are not Boy Scouts now. I think they're Boy and Girl Scouts.
okay.
And then even high schools do require it. You just need to have a person that's overseeing them, like you do it,
Right.
for yours. But Isleta does, and I don't know who would be the overseer for those districts.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, get everyone involved you can. If at least, I mean, it's hard to do it for a whole city of 750,000 people, but maybe for one region, one area at a time, you could bring in the entities that are there in the Socorro School District or where, different other.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
San Rosario. There's just trash everywhere. This is a big problem. There's trash everywhere.
This would be good to have pockets
It's
of
really bad.
competitions, or like there's a meal or breakfast after, or I don't know, just some camaraderie so people feel like they're a part of it.
And the other entity that I would have is your sponsor, your Paso del Norte Foundation. They might do some advertising or just do some awareness for you, or they've got, some.
Well, my idea, guys, is if you had a cleanup day, that's what we'd have. Like it's a Saturday, and they do it once a year for each region, I guess. But here we do it once a year, and you have an organized thing with everyone you can, from the dog catcher on up, involved, and then get all what you're doing is not just picking up trash. You're educating people not to throw trash in the first place.
Yeah.
The kids around Sierra Blanca throw trash everywhere. And so when they have to start picking up trash, or not have to, but when they're doing it for some prize or something, or they may get some kind of electronic equipment just because they might win the prize, they're going to be educated not to throw trash to begin, because it's a big problem. I managed a county park for Hudspeth County. We're the county seat here. Mm-hmm. And the children, the kids playing there were throwing trash and breaking bottles all over our $1 million park here in Sierra Blanca. And we finally went and the commissioner and I went and spoke to them at the school. And then we tried to, during the cleanup, after that, the throwing of the trash at the park was greatly reduced. I mean, I used to spend 2 or 3 hours a day out of my 8 hours just picking up trash.
Yeah, it's bad.
And then Kat just put something in the chat.
My architecture students have mapped trash in downtown and central El Paso. I'd be happy to share those maps to bring awareness. They're pretty impactful. As Bill is saying, trash is everywhere. While we're waiting for Monica to maybe get her audio working, Kat, do you want to tell them a little bit about those maps and how detailed they are? They're amazing.
Sure, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not going to have my camera on because I'm with the baby, but
no problem.
Absolutely. Yeah, my students have gone in person to different zones throughout central and downtown El Paso and have manually photographed and documented what type of trash is where, and created these sort of maps that show by category, like where is metal trash, where is all the wood, where is all the plastic bottles, where are all the straws, and it's kind of detailed. Mm-hmm. So I'd be super happy to share that to kind of bring awareness to, especially because what you see out of those maps are like the concentrations of areas where trash is mostly collected. So or gathered. It could be because of wind patterns. It could be because it's near high schools. That could be even studied further. But there are like areas that are much more densified with with trash. So
Yeah, that would be incredibly helpful because that's like awesome data. I would love to maybe even bring people to the table that maybe.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I can hear you, Monica.
Oh, good.
Okay, you go
Okay,
for it.
go ahead. So, hi, Candy. How are you?
Good.
Good to see you. So I have some comments about some of the stuff that was being said now. I'm actually a county resident, so I don't have a city rep. My rep is Ileana Holguin.
Okay.
So I've had conversations with her before, and I think you should bring her into the mix.
Okay.
Precisely about illegal dumping and trash. I live close to, not in Horizon City, but in the outskirts of it.
Okay.
And we have found a lot of, just dumping or trash all over.
Mhm.
And I've mentioned this to her, particularly what you were talking about was tires. And she did mention that she was getting ready to start a program, which you should be part of that conversation, or somebody in your committee, or, folks, I know I want to be involved, is because she's going to be pushing to give funds or like a token to people to take their trash to the dump site.
Okay.
Because some folks, can't afford it, or they don't have access to taking the materials there, or, but she's going to be providing that. That's one thing that she was going to work on. Another thing was that she's going to be working with the Horizon City on collecting all those tires and shredding the tires and making use for them for roads.
That's what I was going to say. They're going to do that,
Yes.
are they?
She said it's in the works, but it's not something that that is happening like now or in the next few months. I think it's taking them time to establish that. So maybe also looking at partnering with the City of Horizon, since they are already embarking, which I think it's the water company here, that might be looking to do that and accepting tires and then shredding them. And but the thing is the collection. One of the things I also wanted to mention to you is bringing into the mix, for example, for us county residents, we have El Paso disposal. And the reason that it's important to bring them in is because it's true that there's a lot of trash, but a lot of the reason is because it's them not picking up the trash. Okay. So we've seen them where, especially on windy days, there have been days where they haven't even picked up the trash in certain neighborhoods, and the trash is flying all over the place. So residents have to call the El Paso disposal and have them come over and pick up when the majority of the trash has already flown away. So that's what I noticed as to some of the problem, why there's so much trash as well, is because the trash pickup is not being done in a timely manner and properly as well, because close to where I live, there are some apartment complexes, and they've gone to pick up the dumpsters there, and all the trash ends up on the floor because they didn't pick up the trash accordingly. And so that's something to consider. And then as far as maybe ideas, the reason I wanted to join this conversation is because I'm vested into cleaning up my own neighborhood in my area, and we've done that here. And so I wanted to see what were some of the things that you were doing. I was thinking maybe informing committees. The city is so big,
Yes.
so maybe forming committees and aligning yourself with those committees. For example, with us, it would be Commissioner Holguin. So, and maybe Sheriff Wilds as well.
Okay.
So those would be something that, forming those committees, and maybe having subcommittees as well with the youth, with groups of people who want to join in and do that. And like you said before, and I'm a big proponent of of education
Mhm.
and having those, right now we're during the middle of pandemic, but even having workshops in the communities, at community centers, places where people gather to really inform them. A lot of it is just misinformation and creating some level of consciousness as to why this is happening. But for sure, the trash, this El Paso disposal, they're very irresponsible as well, and a big contributor of why there's so much trash everywhere.
I'm really glad you brought up the roads with the tires, because one of my questions, I mean, it didn't have to be addressed today, was going to be like, okay, say we do gather stuff. I mean, are there solutions about how we could reuse these items rather than them into the landfills? And so I think also somebody needs to come to the table that is representing the wildlife. It seems like it's a big thing. And so like, I think like Bill was saying, the kids are dumping stuff and they're kind of careless and they're not thinking about the ramifications, but some of these kids are animal lovers. You bring somebody in from, say, Stickhouse Sanctuary, and they show you what has happened to the animals that are brought to them that are choking on this or caught up in this or how it hurt them. And I guarantee you the next time they throw something out, they're going to be thinking about that, So like you said, I think it's an educational thing as well. Bill, you have your hand up?
Myself. Yes, I just had a couple quick thoughts. This is, as you well know, living in El Paso, I mean, I lived there for years, but it's endemic across the city, not just in the rural areas or in the country, it's all over the city. It is an embarrassment. Anyone, as you well know, anyone driving through,
Yes,
makes it look like we don't care. It makes it look like we don't care. It's like we're a third world country that just is so poor that we don't have time to think about what we're doing to the earth. Mm-hmm. And so that's why TxDOT should be concerned. Tourism is a big business here. And when people drive through and see, and I've seen it online, what a trashy city. It is an embarrassment.
I've seen that a lot.
There's a lot. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I've seen that a lot.
No, I was just going to. There's laws against this, but a law is only good as if it's enforced. The county's done. I know Sheriff Wiles committed, but he's got his plate full, I'm sure, with other things in the sheriff's department, and can't be everywhere at once with his small team of members that respond to illegal dumping. However, there needs to be awareness, and I think there needs to be some well-publicized prosecutions of these big dumps. Mm-hmm. And that would mean getting the media involved, as you well know. Mm-hmm. The media needs to be involved to educate them, because we can pick up trash till the cows come home, but they're just going to be 10 times more replacing it if we don't start educating and getting the word out. It's unacceptable. It's hurting our community. As Monica said, it's hurting the wildlife, and that we don't want the city flag of the county or the county flag to be a t-shirt bag on an ocotillo.
And it really is.
That's what it's known as. That's what it's known as. The city flag of El Paso is a t-shirt bag on an ocotillo. I've heard it so many times.
Yeah. I know.
It's really sad.
If you're familiar with the Nextdoor app, where people can communicate with their neighbors and stuff, I've just been watching my neighborhood people being like, hey, I moved here from so-and-so. I can't believe how trashy El Paso is. It's not like this where I'm from. How come nobody, like, just the complaints, and so I think, people notice that. They definitely notice it. Monica, I know you had your hand up again. Did you want to say anything else?
Oh, no, I removed it. But so as you know, I'm a board member with the Frontera Land Alliance, and I'm sure that, and you are as well, Candy, part of the advisory board. And so I know that there were conversations that I had with Janae about just the trash that people left in various locations that Frontera oversees, trash just left from people, left after hiking and such. And so that's also a conversation that we could join in. You know, I'm sure that if you talk to the Frontera Land Alliance folks and maybe with Mariflor and such, and just having a conversation about just trash and how, you know, and wildlife, like you explained, and, you know, just the impact on the environment.
Yes. And you know, one thing that really, for me is a big deal is about, I mean, I don't know if I'm in this alone, but my second concern is keeping as much as we can out of the landfills and repurpose some of the items, whether it be from using the tires to make dog beds for the homeless shelter and the dog shelters, or maybe, you know, like the roads, or building an earthship, or, you know, what is it that can be done with some of these materials? Tires are pretty resilient. I'm more concerned about those brittle plastics that break into microplastics that shouldn't even be there in the first place. But, you know, this is, I'm not gonna lie, this is biting off a lot, right? I mean, we can't be the only ones who've ever tried to tackle this, and it's just an ongoing issue, but I think there's things to do. It's not hopeless. I mean, I just can't sit back and not do anything. I mean, something's better than nothing, you know? So Bill, did you want to say something?
I didn't raise my hand, but I will say something.
Okay.
My hand must have stayed up from the last time. No, the tire thing that you were talking about, the city's been talking about a program, and Mrs. Smythe is for it, for repurposing these tires to make them into roadbed for TxDOT.
Okay.
When I lived in El Paso for 8 years, that was 12 years ago. Well, let's see, I left in 2014, but it never has, my point is, it never has happened.
Right.
You hear about all these, great ideas, and it is a great idea. It works. It's been doing in other places, the shredding up of tires. You have a tire dump where they come in pieces. I think it's called Tres Pacetas out there on East Montana, and they're burying all these tires. The people there don't want to dump next to them of these cut up tires. Mm-hmm. So that's a great idea. Instead of paying Tres Pacetas to cut them up and bury them in a landfill that people don't want in the community, why not put them into repurposing them for the roadbed? And right. it's just a talk, and I don't see any action out of the city on this. Mm-hmm. And well, everybody really. I mean, this is an idea that's been floating around literally 15 years.
Do you think that we could try to get some of the city council into some of these meetings, or some of the local reps like Mayor Gonzalez, or, I mean, I guess.
Yeah, and I would invite the local TCEQ office.
Oh, you're right, TCEQ. That's a good one.
They're the ones that are responsible as well. I mean, they are directly, I mean, they have a small staff. It's not all their fault. You know, they don't give us much out here. They're good people, but they need to be involved, and they need to start working on this. Maybe they can look at helping us maybe get some, or your organization getting some funding for this. But we need to raise awareness. I'll say it again, having a cleanup day for one area at a time. Don't expect or anything, but do it in small steps, where you create awareness of a cleanup day and mm-hmm. bring everyone you can involved. Like I said, give cash or prizes of electronics to the kids, or whoever picks up the most trash. Give them a meal and make it a whole day, and then you'll get it on the television news at 6 and 10.
Yes, no, those are great ideas. Zulema, you have your hand up?
I do. I had a question, actually. Monica, you mentioned a female, and I couldn't grab the name because noise back here, that was doing a lot that should be at the table, and I didn't put it down.
I believe it was Ileana Holguin, Commissioner Ileana Holguin. Was it her?
Commissioner
Holguin.
Oh, no, but I did Commissioner Holguin.
Yes.
Is that who it was? That was going to be doing all that?
Yes. So,
okay.
Right. I spoke to her, and she told me several times that she's been trying to fight this whole trash situation. So she's already in
Got
the
it.
know is, yes. And I'm sure if you talk to her, she's a great ally.
Got it. And you know, I'm gonna also add
Thank you.
local artists, because you give them some of the tires and they could create some amazing advocacy pieces for any projects we do. I mean, because people will stop if they see a piece of artwork at a tire that's amazing, and then all of a sudden they read the plaque, and the plaque says, "Did you know this, and this is going on? This is what you can do to help." So local artists, I think, would be an asset. And Darlene, you have your hand up.
Yeah, hi. I'm with Green Hope. I'm kind of I'm sitting here and I'm listening to everything you guys are saying, and I think one of the things that's important is that as a committee, whether it comes out of here or anywhere else, it has to be a political issue, especially during elections. I think that's the way that you're going to get local politicians to commit to any kind of change, where we actually make it a concern, a political concern at all times. But yeah, because without the power to get these leaders involved, like somebody said earlier, we're just doing cleanups, you know, and I think it almost has to be like a grassroots effort that pushes it, because they're the ones dealing with the problem, you know, the local people. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, I think that's great. So what do you think about inviting, whether she's available or not, Escobar?
Yeah, I mean that would be a good start, because I mean she's obviously public, you know, she's expressed public concern for pollution and stuff. And of course, you know, with her getting involved, it would involve a lot of other people that perhaps aren't making it a main issue. It's almost like we have to make it a main political agenda. Like it can't be something on the sidelines anymore. It has to be at the priority, because you're right, as somebody mentioned about, you know, living here in El Paso, like I'm originally from here. I left and then I came back. And one of the things that's disappointing is to see how it has evolved into, for lack of saying it in a different way, a trashy city. I mean, there's trash everywhere, and it shouldn't be acceptable. I mean, but yeah.
Yep, I agree. Anybody else want to add anything? Kat, that was a cool suggestion in the chat, by the way.
Candy, I also wanted to add something else. I think one of the things too that we need to consider is involving businesses, because I tell you what, like you go to the let's say like a Walmart store or a Vista store, and depending on where you go in the city, you're gonna see like there's stores that they never have trash in their parking lots. Yet you go to other areas and it's perfectly acceptable to have the trash everywhere every day. And so those are things that, you know, that the businesses are not engaging in cleanups or trying to, have their areas clean. And I don't know if it has to do with the lack of political push from the locals, but even like local businesses, if you see that you go to the west side and there's a Walmart there and there's never trash, and then you come down here to the lower valley and there's trash everywhere, and you know that's the same business. So why do we have that discrepancy? Why do we have that difference? Is it, we have to identify, is it the push of the people? Is it not the involvement? I mean, what's going on? Why is it acceptable in one place and not in the other? So businesses, I think, would be important in inviting to this project.
Oh, I agree, because they're directly invested. I mean, especially if it's affecting their business. I know that we've done some cleanups, like the last cleanup we did, Monica, is kind of out in your hood. We were cleaning up a site that was not on the highway. Shame on us, because we couldn't bear to see everything that was just a few feet in. So we started cleaning it up, and the business owner came out and was like, "Who are you guys and why are you on my property?" And we were like, "Oh no." And then we had already gathered like 50 bags of trash, and I thought she was going to lay into me. And she was like, I just wanted to thank you guys. And she was like, I've been having to pay people to come clean up my land. This is happening when, you know, our steel company is, you know, we're doing business and we don't know when they're dumping and I'm shelling out money. And she was just like, this is crazy. And so, yeah, they should be at the table. That's a good suggestion for sure.
So she was the landowner?
Yeah, she was the landowner. Yep. She had her steel company. Her steel company was in the back, and then the empty lot was in front, and it was off of Montana. And so that's where they've been dumping, is in her empty lot. And then, you know, it's another thing. It's like, if I could just figure out who some of these property owners are, you know, how complicated would that be to see, A, if they know about it, and B, if they'd be willing to cooperate if we did catch somebody, or, you know what I mean? Like, get them involved, because I know there's some people that even come from California, buy a plant, haven't come to check on it, you know, like, do they even know what's happening? Somebody else, before I forget, that I think should be at the table is, I mean, what do you guys think about some of the stuff that we're finding dumped is like oil, you know, stuff from contractor waste, things that are going to get into the soil and harm the land and maybe even go into the runoff of our water. Do you think we should invite the water company? Or not really?
Maybe all the utilities.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, utilities then. Okay. Well, I mean, I think we have a start. It's hard to build a skeleton for the next meeting when you don't know who's going to be at the table at the next meeting, because the conversation could quickly shift, right? And so I think right now it's just brainstorm, dropping ideas, trying to learn from those who have come before us, what has succeeded and what has not, and what we can tweak to change. It is a massive, massive problem if the city and the county are even struggling with it. But I think that if we could come up with some sort of a campaign to get local individuals involved, I mean, my idea is that grassroots, it could become a movement, you know what I mean? And so I think there's change in education, and education is slow moving. It is, but education, if done well, can live in the brain forever and change habits. And I think that that's the direction we want to go. We don't want a quick fix, you know, we want this to be embedded in education initiatives as well. I mean, gosh, look at what we have on the table now. We got a lot of stuff. Yeah, this meeting was super useful. Thank you guys. So we've got some new ideas floating. We've got a lot of people who should be at the table, whether they actually attend with the invitation or not, we'll see. Would you mind if I drafted up an invitation for the next meeting? If I shared it with you, you could pass it on to anybody that you saw fit. I mean, the more the merrier. If we share it with 100 people, maybe 10 will come. But we'll keep inviting them. We'll keep inviting them. Yes. Okay. Judy says definitely El Paso water. Okay. So you kind of let that stew, and you think of anybody else maybe you forgot to mention. And I have your emails on record because you registered for the workshop. So I will draft up an invitation to our next meeting and see what kind of conversation happens with these new bodies in the room. And you're definitely welcome to email us at any time if you come up with anything, but I think this is going to be a work in progress for sure. Guys, thank you so much for taking your time. And this is really awesome to know that we're not alone in how we feel, that you guys are people who don't just feel it, but you want to act on it. So thank you, Bill, Monica, Judy, Kat, everybody. I know some people had to drop off, but I don't know, unless you have anything else to add. I think
I want to say something, Candy, real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you want me to go? Can I?
Yeah.
Okay, so one other thing I wanted to suggest to you, since I know the work that you do, considering, you know, just the art shows and working with the students, and what you've done in this region is very significant. I feel that there's an opportunity for you all to apply for a grant with NALAC, the National Association of Latino Arts and Culture, they have a grant that focuses only on the borderland region. And so looking at that, maybe you can come up with even programming or use what you already do to address this issue, right? And how this builds more inequities within communities. And so this is something that you can look at as looking at the equitable impact on communities of color, specifically here in the borderland region, and how to address this issue of trash and, and also pollution within that spectrum.
Yeah.
I'm sure. And then if you incorporate art, which is very important, you can do a wide range from the materials that you're already doing. But if you go to their website, you'll see that they have grants coming up, I think, for next year.
What was it again?
Let me type it here.
Okay.
I'll send it over.
That would be great. No, money doesn't hurt.
Yeah, several artists in El Paso recently got a grant, but they were all from a specific organization, from Mujer Obrera. So most of them were. So you can apply, and maybe for the next one, or maybe find other artists or other colleagues so that you can work together and collaborate on this and maybe get a good grant to do something significant with this.
That would be incredible. We have maybe like 5 or 6 more minutes. I'm going to share my screen real quick because I want to show you some things that are coming down the works with us. I know that there's power in artwork. I know you know that, Monica. And so we're bringing in Bardalo II, hopefully soon, to do a giant trash mural. He's an artist from Lisbon, Portugal. And so he does these giant trash murals out of, stuff that would otherwise be in the landfill. And he's depicting the animals that are being directly harmed by the trash. This would be an amazing kickoff event once he's actually done with his installation piece, to have like an unveiling ceremony, really sign people up, talk to them about this, have a plaque on the wall. We're seeking for him to do an animal that is endangered within our region, so that then it becomes so much more real and relevant to our area. So this is in the works. We're so close. We've gotten some grant monies for this, but to fly him and his crew in from Lisbon, Portugal, it's going to take a pretty penny for the flights. I thought about reaching out to MCAD for assistance, and even Ellen Smythe. And so we'll see if they have any funding for that, and maybe even Downtown Management District. But if you know anybody else that could help us with this, that would be incredible. I mean, they're phenomenal. And then the second thing that's in the works is we currently have somebody working on building these precious plastic machines for us. So maybe some of the plastic waste we find, we can actually shred it in the shredders, heat it up, mold inject it, and turn it into, and repurpose it into items that we can actually make money off of. Or, maybe the community members, hey, here's my pretty Tide bottle. Instead of me sending it, somewhere where it may or may not get recycled, I'm going to give it to you guys, and let's see what kind of cool backsplashes we could create. Or maybe throughout the parks, we can use the plastic waste to make benches and chairs and phone cases and bowls and bricks for building. And so, maybe you could help make playground equipment. And so this could be an educational thing with the colleges. It's just, you could build with this. Think of our homeless community. And so there are exciting and fun solutions that I think could really draw kids in. And so, look at what can be done. This could even be an initiative to help small business startups, people who are like, I don't have a lot of money, but I'd like to try this. And people want to give back when they know that the monies they're giving are actually being used to help the community directly. So these are coming down the line. So FYI, this could be really fun, I think. All right. Okay. So we got some great stuff. We got NALAC, National Association of Latino Arts and Culture. You guys are amazing. You keep us going, because sometimes we feel like we're alone, but when we see your faces and hear your voices, we know that we're not alone in this. So thank you so much. You guys are amazing. I think that's it. So I'll shoot you an email, and maybe we could try to negotiate another meeting date, and then I'll shoot you that email, the invitational email that you can invite anybody you want. And I think we'll just go from there. And this is a great start. I know you exist now. Thank you. Cool, guys. Well, unless you want to add anything else, you have an amazing weekend, and pick up trash if you see it.